Long before there were pharmacies, there were healers. Mothers, fathers, and neighbors who turned to the earth for wellness. Welcome to the Reality of Herbal Therapy podcast with Jim Applegate. Each week we explore the plants, traditions, and time-honored remedies that connect us to that ancient wisdom, so you can bring it into your modern life.
Welcome to the Reality of Herbal Therapy podcast. So today I want to talk about, a couple weeks ago I went to the dentist, and there's a routine that I do after dental work, and I realized afterwards that I needed to share it. So I made a short video, and then I realized I needed to make a podcast because we had people in different places, so we wanted to talk a little bit about it. And if you're like me, basically after I go to the dentist, the drugs that they use give me a migraine within a day or two. And if I remember to do this protocol right after the dentist, I don't get that migraine. And once I caught on to that, it made a huge difference.
Yeah, the formula we're going to talk about is something that Dad used constantly in the clinic. It's one of it's something I keep on hand all the time. I don't want to live without it because when I need it now. I need to not have to wait 3 to 5 days to get it shipped to me.
Yeah. And so we're going to talk about a couple of different stories of how this formula really makes a huge difference. If you haven't figured out what we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about detoxylation. Detoxylation, going back, so I know there was a point in time when we had somebody, and Dr. James was doing chelation therapy, which is it's like an IV thing, and they put all sorts of stuff in the IV, and basically not everybody could come to the clinic and get that IV chelation done. So we started talking about what could we do to make it possible that everybody could get it. And we came up with oral chelation, and that's where detoxylation came from. So basically we are surrounded by all sorts of chemicals, toxins, heavy metals. And when we made the detoxylation, Dr. James, part of why he did it was to support the IV chelation that he was doing, but we actually found that it worked better than the IV chelation. So that's why we went on and started doing detoxylation, because it helps to really move it, all of those toxins out of the body. Some things like heavy metals, certain toxins, they don't actually leave. They just like find little pockets in our liver, our kidneys, our bowels, our lungs, and they just sort of sit there, and detoxylation moves them out. So there are different ways to take detoxylation, but our bodies cleanse at night. So Dr. James always said to take detoxylation in the evening.
Yeah, well, so in my family, at least, there's the accumulation problem where there's so many things in our environment that accumulate in your body. And like for my family, the most noticeable things are things that are in food. Like if you eat on aluminum, you've got aluminum in your body. There's pesticides on almost every, even when it says organic, sometimes you never know. And those things are really hard to get out of the system. There's additives, there's so much stuff. And if you're drinking tap water, or if you don't know exactly what's in your water, there's so many unseen things that could be in your system that we don't even know that are taxing our system. And it affects it creates enzyme dysfunction. So it makes it so that our bodies just can't really do what they're supposed to do right. Something I learned recently is that even dish soap and dishwasher soap can add to the accumulation in your system, problems that affect your digestion, that affect your, just so much stuff. So it's crazy the things we don't even know of. And it also, those toxins can create hormonal imbalances and all sorts of stuff. And detox helps to move those things out of the system.
Yeah. It reminded me, like, sometimes like Lynn mentioned, that we don't even know that they're there. Dr. James had a client that was coming to see him, and she worked in a car shop, but she always wore sandals while she was there because she was just the office manager. She wasn't even going out where they were. And, she'd go out occasionally and stuff, but they found that with dry blood analysis, she had a ton of heavy metals in her system. from being around the cars and the car parts and all of that.
Well, because they would do machining too, so they
Mhm.
had the little flakes or the powder on the floor that has got that metal stuff in it, and I remember that part of that, dad put her on detox, but all on detoxylation, but also she started wearing shoes and socks because he had her on detoxylation, but it wasn't doing it as fast as it needed to or whatever, and so she had to put shoes and socks on to keep herself covered so she wasn't adding to the problem while she was trying to cleanse the problem.
That's really important. Another thing to note with detoxylation is it's not really harsh. It's not cleanse that's going to put you in bed for 3 days while it cleans you out. It's slow, but it's also very effective. And our second story is going to like give you some details about that.
So with detox, it's also just pay attention to your bowels will change and they'll turn green just like the detox is, which is kind of fun. We've just had kids take detox and they're like, "Mom, what's up with this color?" And it's like, "Yeah, it's green."
Yep, that's the chlorella that's in it. It's a algae that attaches to heavy metals and surrounds it, which makes it really helpful for taking it out. So I talked about the dentist. Basically, the the drugs and things that they do disrupt, they numb that spot in our mouth, but then basically our body has to, what's that word?
It has to
Metabolize it.
process it all
Process it. It has to metabolize it. It has to basically process it through our system, and that can take a week or two for it to
to
metabolize
fully
it.
metabolize. Yeah.
Mhm. So detoxylation moves it out really fast. Basically, when I walk out of the dentist, as soon as the swelling is down enough that I can swallow capsules, I will take 4 to 6 detoxylation afterwards, and then I will continue that. I'll take 2 to 4 detoxylation, depending on how much work they did and how many drugs they had to put into my system. And if I'm consistent with it, I don't get the headaches. And like to share that I didn't do it as well this time. I took it when I got out of the dentist's office, but then I had some things come up and I had to like actually fly out to Indiana, and I didn't take detoxylation with me, and I'm like, it'll be fine. And I got a migraine while I was out in Indiana.
Yeah, because this it hadn't totally cleared your system. Now, something to remember too, because we're not prescribing, we're not doctors, we don't want to take over any of your decisions with all of that. But when you've had dental work done, if you don't have a high pain tolerance, Jim has a very high pain tolerance and chooses to go completely natural. So for him, starting on his detox immediately, that's what he wants to do. It's okay if he feels a little of what, like, because it starts clearing that out of your system. For some people, like if you've just had a major surgery or something, you may want to wait a day or two just because you don't want to start flushing those painkillers from your system if you still need those painkillers. In our family, we've had drugs so little that nobody cares about the pain. They want the drug and its side effects gone. Like I even had a 5-year-old that went in for surgery, and after like the next day, she was still supposed to take, they put her on these drug things we were supposed to give her for like a week afterwards because of how major the surgery was. And she absolutely refused. I would have had to knock her out, plug her nose, dump it in her mouth. She was done. She hated the way it made her stomach feel. She hated everything. She wanted to be done with it. So we just stopped giving it to her. But then we still waited a day to give her detox because we didn't want to move it out of her system too fast. Yeah, so gauge it for your body and pay attention to what your body's telling you. Do I need to start now? For Jim, he knows if he doesn't start immediately, he gets migraines. He'd rather his teeth be a little achy and no migraine than a migraine and no teeth achy.
Yeah.
That's
So the second detoxylation story we have. So one of our sons, they were playing in a room, and it had those spiral light bulbs that were really big, like 20 years ago, and they broke the light bulb, and we didn't know much about it at the time. The reason,
we didn't know you're supposed to clean them up with a hat. You're supposed to call a hazmat team to get those things cleaned up. We had no idea.
yeah, so that's why they're hard to find now because basically they're made with heavy metals. That's what
People in the factories that made those die.
Yeah. Yep. So he was exposed to heavy metals. And the funny thing is he was like what, 3 or 4?
I don't know, I don't remember how old he was, but he had started getting warts really, really bad, and we didn't know until afterwards that the heavy metals was the reason until Dr. James we went in and got dry blood
Dry
analysis
blood.
done on him because 'cause we're like, "What's going on? His warts are so horrible," and I can't remember if he had some other things going on, but the warts were horrible past what other kids had had and stuff, and it was
Yeah.
kinda crazy,
'Cause
so
they were all over his hands, just covering his hands
and just getting more and more and more all over
yeah.
his fingers, his knees, his feet, his up down his legs. It was absolutely awful, and we couldn't get rid of him, and none of the normal things were working. So when Dr. James told us he had heavy metals really bad, and so we started giving him detoxylation, I was shocked. Like, seriously, within a week, his warts were getting like they were shrinking. And then within a few weeks, they were really shrinking, and some of the smaller ones were gone. And it was amazing for him that his body could not compensate for whatever was going on inside. So the warts could take over. And by taking detoxylation, he was taking a lot of it. He was taking like 6 a day
And
for
he
a
was
little tiny
consistent,
kid,
though.
and he was very consistent because he wanted his warts gone.
Yeah. Which
I
the
think at that point, wasn't he about 5 or
but yeah.
6? He may have been a little bit older, 5, 6, 7. I can't remember what the age is when there is an age when kids get warts. Like, if
Yeah.
they're prone to it at all, kids just get them. That doesn't mean they have health issues, but in our case, he had health issues.
Yeah.
So
So, like and so if you have a young kid like that, 1 or 2 detoxylation will really help. So, the way detoxylation works is we mentioned chlorella, that's the blue-green algae that binds to the metals, it surrounds it and makes it easy for the body to clear it out. There's also diatomaceous earth in there, which binds to other toxins and heavy metals, but it also carries the chlorella out. And then, there's coriander that's another herb that binds to metals and toxins so that your body can move it out. Like, because like we said, it gets to where they get to where they don't come where it doesn't come out. The body can't get rid of it, and that's how it moves it out. So then also to round out, we have the the herbs that bind to the metals, the chlorella, the coriander, and the diatomaceous earth. But then we also have MSM, which basically it opens up the cell walls so the chlorella can go in and get the heavy metals. Inositol, which it's a B vitamin. Basically, that allows the herbs to pass across into the blood into the brain, and that's where it really helps with when you've got the brain fog or other things like that the where your brain isn't working as well. And then there's also vitamin C that we put in there. The vitamin C detoxifies, but it also helps move the bowels and stuff. So the way detoxylation works is it mobilizes to open the pathways, bind to the toxins, the heavy metals, transport it, and move it out all in one capsule. And that's why detoxylation works really well.
You talking about those made me think also, not just after seeing a doctor, but I remember years and years ago, I decided to give up my caffeine of choice. I love Dr. Pepper. And I had tried so many times, and there's like a 2-week withdrawal symptoms on that. And I decided, okay, so I'm going to try detox with that and see what it does. Instead of 2 weeks, it was 2 days. It helped clean it out of my system, and I did not have the side effects. I know some people, when they try to go off caffeine or any other, there's so many things in our life. This is just my example for me. When you try to go off of something, you can get the jitters, you can get headaches. So many people going off of caffeine or those kinds of things can get, like you get, the migraines and stuff like that. And detox is amazing for that. So even if I decided right now that I was at a picnic and I was going to drink Dr. Pepper today, if I didn't want to feel the aftermath effects for the next few days, over the next few days and I want to be able to just hit the ground running, I just take a few detox afterwards and it really helps. However it is that it helps my system. I don't know exactly the magic of why that works. I just know that it does work for me.
Hmm. Yep, because you've got basically your body has to metabolize it, has to move it out, and so the detoxylation moves it faster, which is really amazing for what it does. So there's a few, like how many to take, when and stuff. So we talked about after dental work, or if you had surgery or anything like that, and those you want to be, like we said, consistent and take it for several days. Dr. James always suggested, like, if you are just momentarily exposed to something and you want to move it out fast, or do once a year cleanse, take 10 detoxylation at night for 10 days. And that's kind of like a body cleanse and stuff. So, that's a couple of different ways. If you're just wanting, if you've been exposed, like our son, that for getting rid of the warts, 2 to 3 a day.
Well, we had him, he was taking 6 a day for about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So that may not be what somebody else needs, but that is what he needed to be able to get, because he had high exposure to something really nasty and a really high count that we knew he had on his heavy metals.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. So that 4 to 6 weeks is a very common time frame to be consistent with it.
and I remember Dad always saying, I think it was with pretty much every product, every formula that he would have anybody take, once the symptoms disappear, keep taking it for at least 2 weeks, because sometimes you just think they disappeared because the relief is so great, but you need to keep taking it for 2 more weeks just to top off all the little bits that are left.
Little bits that are left. Yep. One of the things to watch out for anytime that you're cleansing in any way is any breakouts,
Like skin
skin
things happening.
issues. Yep. Basically, because if you're doing it too fast, the bowels move it out. But if your bowels are sluggish, and that's another key thing.
Keep your
is
bowels moving.
Keep your bowels
Do not
moving.
take it if your bowels aren't.
Yep, because that is the exit for those metals. So you really want to make sure your bowels are
Gotta
moving.
give them somewhere to go.
Yeah.
But if it's showing up on your skin, that's a sign that you could be detoxing too fast. It doesn't mean you're allergic. It doesn't mean anything like that. It means that it's cleansing very quickly and showing up on your skin. So it's sometimes that isn't that just a back off, take a few less pills, or
Right.
some people like me, I want to get it done and over with, and I would rather suffer with it right now fast
Push through, push through it.
than to back my herbs off and slow down a little. So, but it is suggested that if you start having some skin issues or whatever, to slow it down. To especially, I mean, if you have to go to work and if you have to all sorts of things, back the capsules down until it's a number that your skin can handle, and just keep taking it, but take it longer.
Mm-hmm. So, we live in a world that's full of toxins. They're everywhere. I was doing some research for an article just recently, and we were and the person I was talking with about stuff, we were talking about people are very particular about their food and what they eat, but sometimes they'll use just whatever for toothpaste or whatever for deodorant. And, some of
Or
those,
for the dishwasher soap.
or dishwasher soap, or, and there could be exposed to things that we're not even aware of that are out there. So,
Well, like, okay, I got to throw another example in there, because our recycling plant in Albuquerque, New Mexico, has started on fire twice in the past 2 weeks. Twice in the past 2 weeks. So that puts so many chemicals into the air. And it's our windy season also. So that's plastic burning, that's cardboard burning with all of its chemicals they make that with, that's all of that. And it gets put into the air in such microscopic little whatever that everybody's breathing in, no matter how clean their house is.
Yeah.
Like, so it's even with that, just something like that, detox helps to move that stuff out of your system, the things that are beyond your control. If you're near a forest fire and it catches the house, the stuff that's in the air, or even if a forest fire goes through a mining community, there's so much stuff that ends up in that.
And there's even like molds and funguses that our bodies have a hard time dealing with. when there's a forest fire. But, a structure fire, there's all sorts of stuff that, so yeah. So there, it's just in the air. So that's why detoxylation is one that we keep. Lynn has a cupboard of what she doesn't want to run out of. And
Yeah, one of these days I might have to do a video of I am an advocate of food storage and of herb storage because I want to be able to take care of my family no matter what happens. So when COVID happened, I still had what I needed in my house for weeks and months because I always keep a backstock, especially of the things that really, really matter to me.
yeah, and if something gets hard to get or something and we don't have it, Lynn has
Mm-hmm.
her own
Yep, I have my own
private
backstock,
stop. Yep.
and then I can share it with friends.
So detoxylation, if if you're exposed to something, you can hit it hard. If,
If you just want mild maintenance.
mild maintenance, 1 or 2 a day, consistently for 4 to 6 weeks. A little longer if you think maybe you've been exposed to something else.
Mm-hmm. Or if you're exposed constantly on a daily basis in your line of work, you can there's no problem taking it 2 a day for the rest of your life or 4 a day or whatever, just to give your body the boost it needs to be able to pull those things out rather than it moving it deeper in your cells.
So it has been wonderful talking with you, and we will talk to you next time.
You've been listening to the Reality of Herbal Therapy podcast with Jim Applegate. Visit drugfreehelpstore.com to download your free Healer in Every Home guidebook and explore herbal formulas that support your health naturally. Be sure to follow the podcast, leave a review, and share it with someone who loves natural living as much as you do. Thanks for joining us, and remember, true healing starts at home.
It is not the intent of professional herbal instruction or any persons associated therewith to diagnose or prescribe. The intent is only to offer herbal information for your consideration. In the event you use this information without your doctor's approval, you are prescribing for yourself, which is your God-given right. But professional herbal instruction or any persons associated herewith assume no responsibility. The claims and statements made on this podcast have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.